Hello folks, this is Jeff Phillips with SmokyMeat.com, and today we're going to be smoking up a pork butt and making some smoked pulled pork out of this, and we'll get started with that right away. I just brought this in out of the fridge and in this pan here, and I'm gonna move it over to my sheet pan here so I can sort of see what I'm doing a little better. I'm going to turn it around this way because I want to show you guys. This is actually a boneless pork butt. As you can see, the bone was removed before I purchased it. You can actually use a bone-in pork butt if you want to, and that's what you find at your store. But I like using the boneless if I can find it, or sometimes I remove the bone myself. And one of the big reasons for that is here in a few minutes we're going to be seasoning this up. And with it being boneless, it allows you to open this up and get some seasoning down inside here, and just gives you more flavor, more bark, which is never a bad thing. Let's talk about the pork butt, what it is, where it comes from. When you go to the store to buy this piece of meat, it may not be called a pork butt. It may be labeled as a Boston butt. It may also be labeled as pork shoulder. And here in Oklahoma, where I'm from, it's more often called Boston butt. And this piece of meat comes from the front of the pig, just back behind the neck, the upper area, and it's actually the upper shoulder of the front leg of the pig. It's a better way to put it. All right, we're going to get this thing seasoned up. As many of you have probably seen on the website at SmokyMeat.com and other places, a lot of us add something to the meat to help that rub to stick. Often that is just plain old yellow mustard, which works really well. But you can always use other things. Any number of things will work. Anything from different types of syrup, jams, jellies, oils, barbecue sauce. Almost anything will work. As long as it's a complementary flavor. Today I'm going to use some of my barbecue sauce instead of the typical mustard, and this is something you can get at thinbluefoods.com. You may have your own sauce that you like to use, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to try your hand at making your own sauce, you can actually purchase the recipe for this on my website at smoking-meat.com, and I'll put these links down below. I'm going to go ahead and put a thin layer of my own barbecue sauce on the pork butt here, and of course if you have your own sauce that you like, you can use that too, and that's perfectly fine. You can purchase mine at thinbluefoods.com if you want to purchase a bottle of this. Also, if you want to try your hand at making your own, you can purchase my recipe for this sauce and make it yourself. You can amend it, you can modify it to your liking, and you can find out more information about that at smoking-meat.com. And of course, I'll put the links down below for those things to help you out, so you don't have to remember that. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to pour I say a thin layer, but some of you might be wondering about that. I'm just going to use my basting brush and kind of trying to get that everywhere I can on this fat side and on the sides here. And it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to get that rub to stick really well, and that is the purpose that this serves. I'm also going to lift this meat up here. As I was talking before, there's a lot of area in here that you can create some good sticking surface for the rub. Now I will be flipping this over, but I'm going to go ahead and apply the rub to this side. I'm using my Jeff's Original Rub on this pork butt today, and you might think I'm adding a lot of this, but when you're making a pork butt, it's all about the bark. The salt in this rub is going to draw those juices out of the meat to the top. It's going to mix with the rub. It's going to create a paste. almost be like a dry brine. We're going to actually leave this sitting here for a little bit and let those juices come to the top like I was talking about. And you'll notice, just like with some of the other meats, the videos that we've done on ribs and chicken and different things, you'll notice that this rub will start getting a really dark color, what I call a wet look. And that means that the rub has become a paste and is stuck to the meat, and I'm then free to flip it over and do some sauce and rub on the other side. So we're going to leave this sitting for probably 10-15 minutes, and we'll see you here back here in just a few minutes. All right, we're coming back now to look at this pork butt. We sauced the top and added the rub, and we've waited probably 15-20 minutes to let this rub pull the juices to the top and get this almost become a paste, and it gets this wet look. We're looking pretty good here, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to do the other side. All right, now we're going to add some more sauce, just like we did on the other side. I don't have to add quite as much because I've already done the sides. And once again, I'm going to use my basting brush here to just spread that out a little bit. Make it real nice and sticky so that rub will stay where I put it. And we're still using the Jeff's original rub. I'm just doing that top side. And this is actually the side that will be up when we're cooking it, and that's why I did it last. And as you can see, for a whole pork butt, we've used just a little less than half a bottle of the rub. And so we could technically do 2 pork butts with the same bottle. All right, so we got this thing all seasoned up, and we're going to leave this sitting here, let it get that wet look just like we did on the other side. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to go out and get that smoker ready, and we'll be right back with you in just a few minutes. All right, we just come back in from setting up the smoker and getting it all ready to go, and it's looking good out there. The pork butt's also looking good. We've added rub and we've added the seasoning to it, and it's got that nice wet look that we're looking for. I'm actually going to transfer this pork butt back into this foil pan that it was in, and we're going to leave it in that foil pan while it cooks. The smoke will have no trouble getting down in there, and as the fat renders from this thing, it'll be caught in that pan, and we'll be able to use that later to juice up the meat. And you can also, if you want to cook this directly on the grate, you can, and you just want to place a pan, hopefully underneath on a lower grate if you have that capability. Otherwise, I recommend this method. So let's just go ahead and get this thing moved over. It's nice and messy. And get it unstuck from that paper. All right, just gonna set that booger right down in there, and we're ready to haul this thing out to the smoker. All right, we just brought this pork butt in out of the smoker, and that is really looking good, if you ask me. I'm gonna actually, it's down in this. We cooked it down in this pan, and all the juices, a lot of the fat is rendered, and there's juice. It's just sitting in juice, And I want to save that juice for if I need to reheat it or whatever. But I'm actually going to use a spatula here, and we're going to get this right out of that pan, and I'm going to lay it onto my baking sheet here so we can see what we're doing. Look at that thing, it's just falling apart. We actually had a piece of it just fall off here. I'll set that aside. I'm just going to tear it into pieces. You can use different, you can use bear claws or whatever you want to use to pull this apart. I usually just grab a couple of forks. This thing is still steaming hot in the center. Man, look at that smoke ring. That is beautiful. I just usually try to pull it apart and let it come apart at its natural, just how it wants to. I'll pull it apart in, into pieces, and then I'm going to try to go through it and remove any of the fat that I can. Look at that beautiful bark. That's what I was talking about earlier. Look at that. That's pretty much all there is to it. That's just, and I don't like it real shredded either. I like some chunks. So I just kind of pull it into pieces. Man, that smells good. That's all there is to it. We're going to have a lot of really nice bark in this meat, I can tell. That is beautiful. And if you see any pieces of fat, you can kind of set those aside. I'm going to move some of this over, make room for that. Most of this fat in this one rendered really well. And now, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I checked the temperature on this before I pulled it off the smoker. I was looking for around 205 degrees. If you will let this cook till it gets to about 205 to 207 degrees, that's how I'm able to pull this apart so easily. I know a lot of people that have had trouble. They'll say, mine don't pull apart as easily as yours does. That's because you removed it too early. Almost pull it apart with very little effort. I mean, as you can see, I'm not working hard at this at all. I'm just kind of going through it, making sure that the pieces are about the size I want for a sandwich. Other than that, I'm not working at it. And I'm just seeing if there's any fat or gristle that I wouldn't want to be on the sandwich. But a lot of that has rendered really good. All right, we got this all pulled apart. This stuff smells good. It looks good. I'm going to give it a taste test here and see what I think. That piece has a lot of good bark on that. Some good juicy meat, good smoke ring. Let's just give it a taste. That's good stuff. All right, I'm going to get some of that on a bun and try it out. We just happen to have some slider buns over here. I'm gonna grab one of these slider buns and give that a. Actually, I might make an extra for my camera guy. All right. Let's pull that apart. Get some of that meat on there. Don't be chintzy with that stuff. Actually, I think I'm going to make some campfire sauce for this real quick. All right, I'm going to grab my stuff here and make up some of that campfire sauce. I've got a bowl and a spoon ready here. And let me grab my mayo. I use the Duke's mayo. I like it because it doesn't have any sugar in it. And I'm not on a sugar-free diet, but I do try to reduce my sugar anywhere I can. And that also reduces calories, which is a good thing. So basically, campfire sauce is equal parts of mayo, and I'm just using about a tablespoon here for our purposes. It's about a heaping tablespoon rather, of mayo, and equal parts of your favorite barbecue sauce. Of course, I'm using my own original barbecue sauce, but you can use whatever you like. I'm just going to add a little to that, about the same amount as I used mayonnaise, and just give it a good stir. Okay, that looks good. Grab us a couple of slider rolls here. These are the sweet Hawaiian rolls. I really like these. Probably one of my favorites for sliders. So I'm gonna get a couple out there. And this is real simple. I'm just going to put some meat on there, add a little campfire sauce, and we'll see how that goes. Just going to add some of that meat right on top. Not going to be chintzy with it. That's looking good. Taste of one of these. That's delicious. All right, well that's how you smoke up a pork butt and make up some smoked pulled pork. And just to recap, we started out with a pork butt that was around 8 pounds. Those can run anywhere from 6 to 8 pounds, just depending on what where you get it, and those can vary. And we brought it home. We added our sauce to the outside of that to give the rub a place to stick, a good surface. We added my original rub to the top, sides, the bottom, and we cooked that thing. We got our smoker going. As you noticed, we used our Weber Smoky Mountain 22-inch charcoal smoker today, and we added our charcoal and got that up to about 225 degrees. We placed our pork butt on the smoker, and we actually used cherry wood for this today. And I just placed 3 chunks right around the center of the charcoal pan, and I added 1 gallon of water to the water pan. And you'll also notice that I placed the pork butt down in a foil pan and placed it right on the grate. And this took right around 16 hours. Normally these would take around 14 hours. It was quite a bit colder today than usual. So I think that's probably why it took an extra hour or two. And we left it on there, like I say, for around 16 hours, took it off and let it rest for about an hour. You can let it rest up to 3 or 4 hours if you want to, down in a cooler, all wrapped up. And we took it, after it rested, we took it out, pulled it into pieces, removed any excess fat or gristle that we found. And I just used a couple of forks here to pull it into pieces. And it's really as easy as that. This is something you can do in your own smoker, in your own backyard, whether you have a pellet smoker, charcoal smoker, electric, gas, stick burner, whatever you use. This is something you could even do in your home oven if you don't have a smoker or a grill yet. And just using the same temperature settings, the same time. You can do this in any heat source. Thank you for hanging out with me today as I cook up this pork butt. Made some smoked pulled pork on the Weber Smoky Mountain 22-inch charcoal smoker. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below. And once you subscribe, hit the bell and you'll be notified of any new videos I push out. And once again, this is Jeff Phillips with SmokyMeat.com, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.